Coming up on your horizon. Well, in 1783, the United States was a new nation of about 3 million people living for the most part along the Atlantic seaboard. Now, Native Americans, perhaps numbering around 600,000, controlled most of the lands west of the Appalachian Mountains. But by 1890, a little more than a century later, the United States stretched from coast to coast and was home to some 66 million people, and only 250,000 Indians remained. America's history with its native peoples is a difficult one, but a history where the last chapter is far from written. Today, we explore the economic success of Native America. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in Career Tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. Well, probably no state more identifies with its native roots than Oklahoma. Even the name of our state comes from the Choctaw phrase, Oklahoma, literally meaning red people. Even the state flag depicts an Indian war shield, stars, eagle feather, and an Indian peace pipe. Now, culturally, Oklahoma is a native state and one that increasingly is seeing a growing tribal economic impact. A new study shows tribes in Oklahoma produce an estimated $10.8 billion impact, employing more than 50,000 people. With more, here's our Andy Barth.
Rob, when most people think of Indian tribes and the money they generate in Oklahoma, the first thing that usually comes to mind is casinos. And while a large portion of Native American revenue comes from gaming, tribes are creating jobs and making an economic impact in other areas. The gaming industry is a big deal in Oklahoma, from slots and tables to horse racing. And the Chickasaw Nation claims to be one of the best.
Gaming is our pillar business. I mean, it really is. I mean, we focus a lot of energy and effort on gaming.
Bill Lance is the CEO of the Chickasaw Nation and says they know how to stay on top in the gaming industry.
We do a great job at gaming. I mean, we provide a great entertaining venue for our customers. You know, they love coming back to our facilities, and so we take that very serious. I mean, we don't take our customers for granted.
And Lance says gaming spills over into other businesses.
I think one thing that is overlooked with gaming is that, you know, gaming is a $1 billion annual business for us. And a lot of what we have learned in management, technology, etc., is transferable to a lot of other businesses. So it's really opened up a lot of opportunities because of the expertise that we have in accounting, management, technology. I could go on, but it's really transferable to a lot of other businesses that we've been able to benefit from that knowledge and expertise.
Secretary of the Oklahoma Department of Commerce, Dave Lopez, says tribal business is booming.
The job creation that they have, when you look at it in its entirety with all the 39 federally recognized tribes, if you said that's an employment for any single company in Oklahoma, it'd rank in the top 5.
And while much of the tribe's impact is grounded in gaming, Lopez says there is growing economic diversity among Indian ventures in Oklahoma.
It is much more than gaming. The trend in growth and revenues from other services, including opportunities that the tribes have taken advantage of, and everything from aerospace to defense contracts with the U.S. government, a variety of things from commercial land development, entertainment beyond gaming.
And McAllister's Choctaw Defense is a prime example of the diversity in tribal business. Stephen Benefield is the managing officer.
This year we'll be producing about $30 million worth of hardware out of this location. Next year we're projecting over $50 million a year. And being a defense contractor, all defense contractors live contract to contract.
And former McAllister Mayor Kevin Priddle says the Choctaw business brings more jobs to the area.
It's very beneficial to us because of the employment that they provide to our area and the training and increased usage of our personnel in the area as well.
Job growth at Cherokee CRC's Cheryl Cohener says benefits the entire state. The Tulsa-based company is a diversified small business that contributes to the more than $1 billion economic impact made by the Cherokee Nation.
As these business units diversify and we're able to create jobs, then it benefits Oklahoma's economy.
Ann Cohener says this tribe is staying put.
One of the really positive things about the Cherokee Nation is it is headquartered here in Oklahoma, and it's one of those headquarters that just won't leave. I mean, we're not going to leave and move to Houston. We are rooted here in both heritage and culture, and we're going to continue to grow our business.
A fact that Oklahoma Secretary of Commerce Dave Lopez says helps the entire state.
So many of their enterprises are in rural areas, which have for decades lacked some of the opportunity that the tribes are bringing to those areas. Because those are often tribal lands, those rural areas now get this boost, not just from the gaming, but also for future opportunity and employment and things outside of gaming.
Money that Lance says benefits tribal and other businesses.
That money flows into our state, benefits a lot of locally owned companies, and it really benefits all of Oklahoma. I mean, we're really focused on helping the state of Oklahoma, and we really have a preference on using Oklahoma-based companies.
Growing jobs and building the economy while bringing heritage and culture to the state. Now, when you add together the direct and indirect economic impact of the tribes, the total represents 7% of the state's total economic output.
Thank you, Andy. Now, over 1 in 10 Oklahomans can trace their tribal ancestry, and many more identify with their family's native roots that have been passed down throughout the years. If you will, take a look at some numbers with me. According to the latest census estimate, Oklahoma's population sits at right under 3.8 million people. Now, of those, 1 in 10, just over 396,000, have American Indian heritage. And according to the American Community Survey of our native peoples, Cherokees make up the largest percentage of our population at 182,000, followed by the Choctaws at nearly 69,000. The Muskogee Creek Nation sits at 37,000, followed by the Chickasaws at 21,000 plus, and the Seminoles at over 13,000 people. Now, altogether, 67 Native American tribes are represented in Oklahoma, including 39 federally recognized tribes headquartered here. Now, that gives our state a cultural diversity that is truly American. Now, nearly 50 native tongues are spoken in Oklahoma. In fact, over 5% of Oklahoma's native population reports speaking languages other than English at home. And while each of these tribes are their own distinct peoples, they are also very American. When it comes to military service, Native Americans serve at 10 times the rate as the U.S. population as a whole. Now, if you'd like to learn more about this and a myriad of other subjects, just head to our website at okhorizon.com, where we have daily updates from our partners at Face the Facts USA. When we return, I get to sit down with one of the longest sitting chiefs in Oklahoma, Governor Bill Anatubby of the Chickasaw Nation.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, while each of our native tribes has its own unique history, nowhere are our native roots better displayed than at the Chickasaw Nation's Cultural Center, a $40 million facility that took 6 years to complete. The center contains countless lifetimes of both culture and history, a true treasure for an Indian nation led for the last quarter century by one man, longtime tribal governor Bill Anatubby. Well, Governor, to fully appreciate the economic impact that the Chickasaw Nation has on our state and our nation, I want to talk first about some of the history of the tribe and maybe some of the milestones that you see as important to the success of the Chickasaw Nation.
Well, you know, of course, our history predates the United States, but in more recent history, since maybe the mid-1970s, I can actually relate to them directly. I came to work for the Chickasaw Nation in 1975, and we had about, maybe 30 employees that worked for the tribal office. And we had a lot of challenges, things that really today we're engaged in, we're helping with. We had a lot of folks that needed work. We had folks that really needed to further their education. We had a lot of issues in the families, and it's just a pretty serious situation. People need to be empowered. They need to be given opportunity. And it's not always to give somebody $1 so they can go buy something. They need their dignity, they need the ability to do for themselves. And that's what our people, it's what our history is about. We did for ourselves. We were self-sufficient. We were self-governed. And because of some things that happened in our history prior to statehood and after statehood, a lot of those things were changed within our own Chickasaw society. So from 1975 until today, there's been just a dramatic change. We have many people now with higher education degrees, and we have a lot of services that are available today that weren't available back then. It's all because of determination, effort, a lot of luck, I guess, too, and there's some resources that we didn't have available back during that time.
Now, you've been president of the Chickasaw Nation since 1987. In that time, which is, what, 25 years almost, going on 25 years, there have been some dramatic changes, as you spoke of, especially when in terms of business and vision. Can you relate some of those to me?
In my tenure as governor, we've seen a lot of changes. A lot of it had to do with economics. The tribe itself, as a government, was dependent upon the United States for a lot of its resources, for functioning as a government, providing services to its people. In 1987, our Constitution had only been in place for about 4 years. So we were in a growth and a change period in 1987. But the first set of goals that we had related to economics, related to the tribal government and creating a stable operation, creating economic opportunities for our people, and having a level of self-sufficiency for our government and for our people that didn't exist at that point. When I took office about a year before, a message was delivered to our Chickasaw legislature that said that within 5 years, unless we did something to decrease costs, that we could be bankrupt. We were operating primarily from resources, were trust resources that were held by the United States, and very little income. And so we had to create some income, an alternative source for those revenues that we had been dependent upon. So we had to come with another alternative, and that would be the operation of revenue-generating projects, or in typical terms, businesses.
Oklahoma Horizon is now portable. Just subscribe to our weekly podcast. Visit iTunes.com, where you can download our show for your listening or viewing convenience.
Well, unemployment is less than 3% in Maury County, where the Ada-based Chickasaw Nation is headquartered, thanks in great part to the 10,000 plus Chickasaw Nation employees who work in more than 60 different businesses, which is where I pick up my conversation with Chickasaw Nation Governor Bill Anatubby. I want to ask you about an economic study that was released by Oklahoma City University, and I want to look down here because I want to be sure and get these numbers right, but it says the total impact of the nation is at $2.4 billion annually, and that your business enterprises alone contribute $1.39 billion in annual revenue, supporting more than 16,000 jobs, both directly and indirectly here in the state. Does that number even surprise you? It's so large.
I don't know that I'm really surprised, but I'm certainly happy. I think, we want to be a positive influence, not only for our own people, but for those around us. Our goals, our mission is to enhance the quality of life of our people. But how do you do that without helping to other people around you, enhancing their lives as well? It has to be more of a global perspective. You know, if you improve the economy, you're going to improve the economy for your people. If you build bridges, you're building bridges that our people travel across, but also other people travel across. We're part and parcel of the state. We're part of the fabric of the state. And our people, they participate in commerce within the state. They attend public school systems. They're part of the community. And when you help them, you're helping others. And when you're helping others, you're helping them. So it's sort of a two-way street. What's good for us is good for our, would be for our good for our communities, and vice versa.
I think that is a message that certainly parallels what you're doing with Chickasaw Nation Business Enterprises. Very entrepreneurial, very forward-thinking, and much broader than most people realize. If you will, just tell us a little bit about all the things that the nation does.
Well, you know, we want to invest in businesses that will have a future. You know, and so you take a really close look at any business that you might want to enter into. We do feasibility studies. You assess the value based on what it is that we do as a Chickasaw Nation. And so there are certain things that are unique to Indian tribes, to the Chickasaw Nation. Gaming is one of those. And so we will do the best that we can with gaming. It will optimize the amount of revenues that we can obtain from gaming. And then we utilize the revenues that we have from whatever source, whatever business that we own, to reinvest. We reinvest in new business. We invest, obviously, in our own people. We invest in the tribal government and its growth. And we have a system. And that system is intended to be success. And so some things we will do and some things we won't do. Now we're in retail. We have several retail facilities, convenience stop facilities and C-stores as they're called. And we have a chocolate factory. Bedray fine chocolates, and believe me, they are fine chocolates.
I've
and
enjoyed them many a time.
People love them. And then we're in banking. We own a bank in Oklahoma City. We have a company that is engaged in government contracting, and it's been in business for many years now. It's one of the #1 8A contractors in the country. And they have dealt with various departments of government, Department of Defense, the FAA, and we could make a whole list of different agencies that we've dealt with.
And these are enterprises that not only are successful, but they're successful in creating jobs as well, which is doubly important here in southeastern Oklahoma. Many times rural areas of the state lead in unemployment. What type of jobs are you providing to rural areas?
The kinds of jobs are quality jobs, they're good paying jobs. If people have the education and they have the skills to do the work that we have available, then we want to employ them. We give, obviously, our people, the Chickasaws, first preference at any job that we have. So if we have a doctor that's Chickasaw, they will get first shot at that job. But obviously, we don't have enough Chickasaw doctors to fill every position that we have. So other people are employed as well. And we don't begrudge that. I mean, we employ people. When they are employed, whether they're Chickasaw or non-Chickasaw, they become part of the family. They're part of our education, our employee base, and they're treated the same. And we open our arms up. So while we do give preference, and I think that would occur just about anywhere. If you are working for one of the local cities, you're probably living in that city. So that's something that would be similar. But we have a lot of different kinds of jobs, and we're consistently seeking the most qualified, the most skilled people to fill those jobs.
If you're interested in Oklahoma culture, you can keep up with us throughout the week on the Red Dirt Chronicles blog. Look for the On the Horizon postings on Tuesdays and Fridays and tell us what you think.
Now, despite the economic success of Oklahoma's native tribes, difficulties, well, they do remain. Disputes over water rights remain a contentious subject at the state capitol. Yet, when it comes to our shared success, it's a path Governor Bill Anatubby believes we should all walk together. Undoubtedly, the gaming portion of your business portfolio is quite important and drives many of the things that you do in rural Oklahoma. How dependent or interdependent are Chickasaw business enterprises with the gaming portion of your portfolio?
Well, it's obviously it's the largest revenue generator. We have optimized, or we're working to optimize, the revenues that come from gaming. And it's very important to us. It's a large percentage of what our revenues are. But our direction is that we diversify, that we get into other kinds of industry that offers opportunities for revenue generation and opportunities for jobs. This study that you referred to shows that we have continued to improve the economy in our area. That's been part of our goal. We wanted to improve the economy within our area. And not only within our just the 11 counties or 13 counties that we're part of, but for the whole state. It has been improved.
Now, I understand that you started your career here in tribal government as the Health Services Director, and just recently you've been able to complete a state-of-the-art facility that now serves, what, over 500,000 people annually?
That's correct.
I want to hear more about it.
Well, it's a wonderful facility. In the previous facility, it was built in 1980, or finished in 1980. And it was constructed by the United States as an Indian Health Service facility. And they anticipated a much smaller service population at the time. Well, in 1994, we actually began the operation of our own health system. And as time went by, those numbers improved dramatically. And before we actually constructed the new medical center, we were sitting at over 300,000 patient visits per year, and we're operating within a facility that was designed to handle less than 100,000. So we obviously needed more space, and we considered an expansion of the existing space, but opted for the construction of a brand new one. And it's a state-of-the-art facility. It has more services available than we had in the other facility, and we're able to offer the services in a more efficient and in a better manner than what we offered before.
I'm struck by the fact that all the things that we've talked about, how interwoven the successes of the Chickasaw Nation, whether they be business or socially, are just interwoven with the success of Oklahoma.
Well, we're Oklahomans. We were here before Oklahoma became a state, and so we're part of this state. As I mentioned, we're part of the fabric. Many of our leaders, whenever Oklahoma became a state, actually took leadership roles in Oklahoma. We have people that served on school boards, they served in county government. We had a person who was elected as the first congressman from the district, I believe it was the 3rd District of Oklahoma, Charles Carter, and served from 1907 to 1929. We've had individuals served as governor, and leaders of the state married Chickasaws. You know, Alfalfa Bill Murray was actually married to a Chickasaw. So, I mean, we're part of this state, and we love Oklahoma. We want to see Oklahoma prosper. We have our own tribal identity, and we hang on to that identity. It's part of us. we're also part of Oklahoma.
Governor Anatubby, as always, it is a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to visit with you.
It's been very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, if you'd like to learn more about Oklahoma's native tribes and the issue of sovereignty, I did have that discussion with Governor Anatubby, and it's streaming on our website at okhorizon.com. Well, at this time of Thanksgiving, as we pause to count our blessings, we'll remember those who worked the land to make such abundance on our dining tables possible.
I think it's going to become more important in the future as economies become more interlinked, food consumption grows, and food supplies have to be moved more around the world to meet the demand.
Food and the farmers who produce it on Oklahoma Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, we are out of time. I'm Rob McClendon. Thanks for watching. See you back here next week.
Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.